It could be forensic evidence, or it could be merely re-examining clues, but cold cases do occasionally get solved. A witness or suspect may decide to talk. The good thing is that families can reach better closure about what has happened, even though this can mean reliving many painful details at a hearing or trial. The majority of cold cases that are being solved these days is thanks to DNA, but it isn't always the case. Today we take a look at 3 cold cases that were finally solved without the help of DNA. Harold Wayne Lovell was a troubled 19-year-old in 1977. He lived in Chicago with his parents and 2 siblings. In May 1977, he had an argument with his mother and decided to leave home. Harold told his family he was going to look for a construction job, which he did. He left behind his mother, his stepfather, brother Tim, and sister Teresa. His family didn't hear back from him after he left, and he never returned, so they got worried about him. They got even more worried about Harold when they heard about John Wayne Gacy. Gacy ended the lives of 33 young boys and men in the 1970s. Gacy was arrested in 1978. Gacy also worked at construction sites during that time and in the same area. He buried lots of victims under his house. 8 of the bodies found under Gacy's Chicago home was not positively identified. In 2011, the police asked all families who believed they are related to one of the 8 unknown victims to come forward and send in their DNA. Howard's 2 siblings, Tim and Teresa, sent in their DNA since they strongly believed Howard was one of the 8 victims. The DNA did not help solve this case. Before the test could be complete, there was a shocking revelation made. Tim and Teresa's nephew found a mugshot on mugshots.com of a person with the name Howard Wayne Lovell. The photo was of a man from Florida who was arrested in 2006 for possessing marijuana. The family quickly tracked Howard down in Florida. Howard immediately came to visit his family. He told them that he did go to work on construction sites, and believe it or not, but he did work with John Wayne Gacy for a while. Howard used to work in Gacy's garden every now and then. Gacy always tried to get him to come inside the house, but Howard always said no, because something felt wrong. Howard was sad to learn that his family thought he was not alive anymore. He never contacted them because he was under the impression they didn't care about him and wouldn't miss him at all. Howard had a few run-ins with the police, one of them resulting in the mugshot that led to him being found. While he was gone, he married and moved to Wisconsin, but when he got divorced, he decided to move to Florida. Howard's brother had this to say: "I always had that inkling of hope he was alive. I would say, God, let me see my brother one more time." In 2010, Gregory Jean Jr. and his younger brother Samuel went to visit their father and his new wife Samantha Davis in Georgia. Samuel returned to their mother, Liza Smith, in Florida, but Gregory was forced to stay with his father, Gregory Sr. and Davis. When Gregory Jr. did not return to Liza, she called child services, who did not know where to look. She was too afraid to call police since she was an immigrant from Haiti and feared deportation. In 2014, Liza got a Facebook friend request from her son, and she quickly came into contact with him. He told her where he was. She finally decided to call police. The police then went to the house. Gregory Sr. and Davis said they didn't know where Gregory was, and the police could not find him in the house. Liza then sent them pictures that Gregory had sent to her of his location in the house. The next day the police went again, and this time they found a fake wall in the house. All this time, Gregory Sr. and Davis kept Gregory Jr. behind a fake wall in their house. Liza and her daughter Tracy drove through the night to Georgia to retrieve her son, and was finally reunited with Gregory Jr. Only then did she learn how horrible he was treated. Gregory Sr. and Davis originally kept him because that way they did not have to pay child support. Gregory said he was beaten with a stick, humiliated, forced to work as a maid, banned from celebrating Christmas, and isolated from the outside world. Initially he was allowed to go to school, but when he told someone how badly he was treated, they started homeschooling him. Gregory hatched a plan though to contact his mother. He found a cell phone and connected it to a Wi-Fi network. He then downloaded an app that allows you to call via Wi-Fi. That was how he was able to call his mother and then continue messaging her on Facebook. Gregory Sr. and Davis have been charged with child cruelty and false imprisonment. Gregory Jr. asked for mercy for his father and stepmother. "I just want to be free to live my life and let them live theirs," is what he had to say. One day he wants to be a lawyer so he can hopefully help others. Judith Bello was a 28-year-old wife and mother of two living in Stanwood, Washington. She worked at the National Food Corporation in Savannah. One day in 1993, she was supposed to pick up her son from daycare, but never did. The police found her car abandoned at the Stanwood post office. There was nothing in the car that would indicate where she went, but they feared that she was met with foul play. Judith was close to her siblings, and they didn't believe that she would just leave everyone behind. The police had no leads, and the case went cold. That would be until 2011. In 2011, the Snohomish County Sheriff's Department received a call from a woman claiming to be Judith Bello. She told them that she just saw herself on a deck of cards about missing persons cases. She wanted to make sure that they did not need to look for her, and her case was now solved. The police had to make sure that it was the real Judith Bello. They learned that she was now living in California. After some investigating, they were able to confirm that she was indeed the missing woman. Judith then called some of her family members to tell them she was alive and did not need to worry about her. She gave them a reason she disappeared. Judith wanted to get away from her abusive husband. She now had a new husband, and they had 3 children of their own. Her family was just glad she is safe and was happy to hear news that she also had 3 sons. Judith claims she was scared to contact her family because of her first husband and what he might do to her siblings. Judith spent Thanksgiving and Christmas with her family and is now making up for lost time.